The acrid smell of exploded airbag propellant, mixed with the blood seeping from my forehead into my eyes, is my clearest memory of that rainy night. Half an hour earlier, an out-of-control dump truck had T-boned our car at an intersection. My husband, Liu Ying, had thrown himself across the driver's side to shield me, and was now lying in the ICU, hovering between life and death. I was broken in multiple places, splayed on an emergency room gurney like a discarded doll. Helpless. Our son, only 17 days old, had miraculously escaped injury thanks to his topophthalene infant car seat, but he was so tiny, and in the cold incubator of the ER. He wailed until his voice was hoarse. A nurse pressed down on my thrashing arm, her voice urgent. "Ma'am, you need surgery immediately. Your husband is also in surgery. The baby has no one to care for him right now, and we don't have the staff to feed and change him around the clock. Where are your immediate family members? Call them, now." Gritting through the searing pain of my broken ribs, I fumbled for my phone and dialed my mother. The phone rang for a long time before someone picked up. It was loud on the other end, the clatter of mahjong tiles, and my younger brother Liu Qiang's boisterous laughter in the background. "Mom, I was in a car accident. Liu Ying is in emergency surgery. And I'm about to go under the knife too. The baby's here at the hospital with no one to look after him. Can you and Dad come over and take him?" My voice was as thin as a thread about to snap. The mahjong sound stopped abruptly. My mother, Liu Qiang, came on the line. There was no alarm in her voice, no concern, only irritation at being interrupted. "Car accident. Well, are you dead or not? If you're not dead, stop wailing. Your father and I are busy arranging your brother's engagement banquet. We don't have time to run to the hospital. Aren't you loaded? Just hire a Livian nanny, for God's sake." The nurse, overhearing, frowned and leaned toward the phone. "Ma'am, the patient's condition is critical. The baby needs a direct relative to sign him out of the acute care area. Hiring a nanny takes time and paperwork. We don't have that kind of time. How can you, as parents, refuse at a moment like this?" A cold laugh came through the speaker. Then the phone was snatched away by my father, Liu Qiang. His voice was gravelly with cigarette smoke and dripping with venom. "Nurse, don't listen to her theatrics. She owns 2 medical aesthetics clinics, 2 office buildings, millions in assets. Are you telling me she can't afford childcare? She's just making excuses to get out of paying her brother's bride price." "Liu Ying, listen to me," he barked, his voice rising, echoing through the sterile emergency room. "Your brother's wedding is short 80,000 cash. You sign over that shop property today, and your mother and I will drive over tonight to take care of the brat. If you don't sign, then that little bastard can cry himself to death in this hospital for all we care. You're a married woman." A splash of water thrown out. "Don't bother us with your in-laws' problems." Lying on that gurney, I suddenly couldn't feel the pain in my wounds anymore. The cold crept into my bones, inch by inch. These were my biological parents. I left home at 18, built my own beauty salon, expanded into medical aesthetics. There were nights I went 3 days without sleep during the hardest times. They never once asked, "Are you tired?" But the moment I bought my first office building, they swooped in with my brother Liu Qiang like vampires. In their eyes, I wasn't a dying daughter who'd just survived a crash. I was a walking ATM, a tool to be drained dry for their precious son. "Enough. Stop playing dead." My mother's voice cut through again, smug with certainty. "Are you signing the transfer or not? If not, we're hanging up. We still have 8 rounds of mahjong to play. If that short-lived husband of yours dies, who knows who'll get your money? Might as well give it to your brother while it's still in the family." "No," I cut her off, my voice flat. There was no anger in it, no hysteria, not even a tremor. It was the dead calm of a soul frozen solid after reaching the depths of despair. "Liu Qiang, Liu Qiang, from this moment on, you won't get a single word out of me." I hung up. The nurse stared at me, eyes wide with shock and pity. I turned my head to look at my son in the incubator, his tiny face red from crying, and a single tear mixed with blood rolled down my cheek. The red surgery light flicked on. As they wheeled me in, one thought consumed me. If Zhou Yan and I didn't make it tonight, what would become of my child? In this cold, calculating, mercenary world, how would he survive? The surgery lasted 4 hours. I woke up to the pain, the anesthesia wearing off. Above me, the blinding white of fluorescent ceiling lights. The room was quiet except for the monotonous beeping of the heart monitor. My leg was in a cast, hoisted up. My ribs were wrapped tight with bandages. Just as panic began to claw at me, where was my son? The door creaked open. A stooped, travel-worn figure shuffled in. Carefully. It was Zhou Yan's mother, my mother-in-law. She was nearly 70, living year-round in the country city, a rural village woman who could barely use a smartphone. Her clothes were soaked through. Hair plastered to her forehead. Mud splattered up to her calves. But in her arms, wrapped tightly in a small quilt, was a baby, my son, suckling on a new pacifier, fast asleep in her embrace. When she saw I was awake, her wrinkled face crumpled with barely contained anguish and worry. She hurried to my bedside, not even wiping the rain from her face. Her voice a whisper so as not to wake the baby. Xiao Ying, you're awake. How do you feel? Does the wound hurt? Mom. My voice was hoarse, barely recognizable. How did you get here? Her eyes reddened instantly, tears dripping onto the baby's swaddling. She wiped them with her rough hand, voice trembling but resolute. Shunzi from the next village drives a night taxi in the city. He saw your car at the intersection and called me. I caught the last produce truck into town. When I got to the hospital, the nurses said your own parents had refused you over the phone. She sniffled, gently placing the baby on a padded pillow beside my bed. Then this old woman who'd spent her whole life in the dirt, who usually spoke to city folk with a timid deference, took my one functional hand in hers. Her palm was calloused, but warm as a fire, melting a crack in the ice around my heart. Xiao Ying, listen to me. Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of a mountain. Zhou Yan's surgery is done. He's stable. They moved him to the ICU. As long as I'm alive, I'll raise this child. I'll nurse you back to health. Those heartless people don't love you. Then I will. The Zhou family will never let you suffer. I looked at this mud-caked old woman who had rushed through the blackest night to hold my child. And I thought of the phone call just hours ago, my own parents using my son's life as leverage for a property transfer. Something warm inside me died forever. In its place rose a cold, calculated fire of vengeance. They thought I was helpless in a hospital bed. They thought with Zhou Yan in the ICU, our family was collapsing, our assets becoming free meat. Liu Qiang, Liu Qiang, and my spoiled rotten brother Liu Qiang. You want money so badly. Then I'll use that very money to dig your graves. I closed my eyes, hiding the storm within, and said softly to my mother-in-law, Mom, hand me the bag on the nightstand. There's a backup phone in there and my lawyer's number. If they want to play, we'll play big. Outside, wind and rain hammered against the hospital windows. That storm was about to hit the vampires. My backup phone held digital copies of all my core assets. Before my best friend and chief legal counsel, Shunzi, arrived at the hospital, I gritted through the pain of my fractured ribs and pulled up the financial statements for both clinics. I'd been too lenient with them over the years. Liu Qiang was listed as logistics supervisor at my first clinic, drawing a monthly salary of 2,000 for doing nothing. Liu Qiang, playing the founder's father card, had been running up tabs at the clinic's partner tobacco and liquor shop under the guise of client entertainment. Xiao Ying, I've got the accident report, Shunzi said as she burst through the door, briefcase in hand, eyes blazing with fury and concern. The dump truck was at fault. Their insurance and the transport company are on the hook. But your parents, are you really going through with it? I looked at my son, blowing spit bubbles in his bassinet, and my voice came out like ice. Cine, check Liu Qiang's recent bank statements. He needs 80,000 for the bride price. Liu Qiang and Liu Qiang couldn't scrape together 30 even if they sold their teeth. Where's he getting the rest? Cine doesn't waste time. Half an hour later, a detailed ledger landed on my bed. Dead on. she said, pointing at several large transactions. Over the past 3 months, using his logistics supervisor position, he faked 3 maintenance contracts for medical aesthetic equipment. He carved a fake company seal. Swiped the real stamp when the finance lady was in the bathroom. Total, 55,000. Funneled into a shell company under his fiancée's name. Forging a company seal. Fabricating commercial contracts. Embezzlement. I gripped the bed rail until my knuckles went white. Over 50,000, that's a major amount under criminal law Article 271. 5 years minimum. And ETS better. Cindy slid a printed WeChat conversation toward me. The finance girl cracked under pressure. Liu Qiang went to the office yesterday with a gift agreement bearing your signature. Claiming you donated the downtown shop worth 300 Santo Liu Qiang. The finance lady smelled a rat and held it. They think you're on death's door. So they rushed to force you into signing that transfer to make the fake gift real. I opened my eyes. No tears. Only steel. These were my blood relatives. I wasn't even cold yet. And they were already carving up my corpse. Cindy, do nothing. Yet. My voice was calm. Secure all evidence. Notarize it. Don't warn Liu Qiang. Don't tip off the finance department. You want them to step into the trap themselves. Yes. The wedding's next Tuesday. Right. I twitched my lips, wincing as the movement pulled at my facial abrasions. Liu Qiang and Liu Qiang think I'm helpless in bed. Tell the finance girl if Liu Qiang comes to collect the equipment maintenance balance tomorrow. Pay it. Let him round it up to 80,000. Major amount becomes especially huge amount. Very different sentencing. The door burst open before I could say more. Liu Qiang's signature shrill voice laced with cheap perfume shattered the quiet of the room. Liu Ying. You ungrateful wretch. Your brother is about to be ruined. And you're lying here living it up. She carried a plastic bag with a few takeout boxes. Behind her, Liu Qiang scowled with his hands behind his back. And Liu Qiang followed. Glued to his phone game. Not a drop of rain on them. They'd taken a cab. In the corner, Zhou Yan's mother stood protectively by the bassinet. Her face a mask of wariness and fear. Mother-in-law. Xiaoying just had surgery. The doctor said she needs rest. My mother-in-law tried. Shut up. Who asked you? Liu Qiang's beady eyes flipped to her, pointing a finger at her nose. You country bumpkin. Reeking of cow dung and dirty my grandchild. If it weren't for my daughter's money, you couldn't afford this VIP ward. Get lost. I watched the performance coldly. Giving Cindy a look. She nodded, slipped her hand into her pocket, and pressed record on her audio recorder, stepping back to let the vultures expose themselves. Liu Qiang sat down heavily at the foot of my bed, jarring my broken ribs. He didn't notice or didn't care and pulled a thick stack of documents from his pocket, tossing them onto my chest. Liu Ying, stop playing dead. Your brother's fiancé's family says no wedding if they don't see 80,000 in cash and the property deed tomorrow. His tone was commanding. We've already prepared the signatures and stamps. Just put your thumbprint on the last page, the waiver of defense declaration. We'll handle the rest. I picked up the document with my good hand. It was a prenuptial property voluntary split and gift supplement. Not only did it transfer my most profitable shop to Liu Qiang, it also demanded I acknowledge that 51 of my clinics were family coin-vested and should be inherited by him. And they'd even accounted for Zhou Yan clause stated that in case of force majeure death in the accident, all of Zhou Yan's personal property would be managed by the Liu family until my son came of age. Monstrous. Beyond shameless. What if I don't sign? I tossed the papers back. My voice flat. Don't sign. Liu Qiang finally looked up from his game. Eyes venomous. Sis. Don't be ungrateful. Zhou Yan's in the ICU. Doctor said any day now he could be pushing daisies. You're a cripple who can't even get out of bed. If you don't sign, I swear I'll dump that brat at the hospital entrance. You can't take care of him anyway, might as well let him fend for himself. My mother-in-law, terrified, threw herself over the bassinet, clutching the bundle. I looked at Liu Qiang's face, twisted with greed. This was the brother I'd put through college, paid a monthly allowance of 2,000. Qiang, watch your tone. Liu Qiang slapped his arm in mock reproach, then turned to me with nauseating sweetness. Xiao Ying, dear. Your mother's thinking of you. Look at you know if Zhou Yan doesn't make it. You're a cripple with a burden. How will you protect all that property? Give it to your brother Uri blood. Same family. When the Liu family's strong, that's your real safety net. And the child's too. Same blood. I laughed softly. Mom. Remember when I was 17 perforated appendix? Alone in my rented room. You took the train to the school, not to see me, but to demand mismanagement compensation from the administration. Liu Qiang's face flickered. Then hardened. That was ages ago. Why dig up old grudges? One word, are you signing or not? I'll sign. I looked at them. A strange glint in my eye. Their faces lit up with greed. Liu Qiang pulled out an ink pad, grabbed my right hand roughly, and pressed my thumb onto the fake document. Sis, you're smart. He hugged the papers to his chest. After I'm married, I won't forget you. They turned and walked out without a single word about my injuries. The door slamming behind them. Cindy emerged from the shadows, holding up her recorder. Audio's crystal clear. Coercive transaction. Illegal trespass. Intimidation plus embezzlement and forgery. They've treated the criminal code like an alley-oceaniate buffet. Not enough. I turned to the window, watching lightning split the sky. Liu Qiang's having a grand wedding next Tuesday, isn't he? Notify all our media contacts and industry partners. Tell them Liu Ying is sending her dear brother a special gift. I would let them soar to the highest peak and then smash them into the abyss. Liu Qiang took the document with my bloody fingerprint and rushed off with my parents. Not even a backward glance. They were in a hurry to drain the last drop from my clinics. Tuesday morning. Sunlight streamed through the hospital blinds, slicing white bars across the floor. Shansini sat beside my bed, laptop open, an iced Americano gone cold beside her. Xiao Ying. The fish has swallowed the hook. She spun the screen toward me. Yesterday at 2 p.m. Liu Qiang used your signed authorization and fake financial seal to withdraw the final 25,000 equipment maintenance balance from Clinic 1. The total embezzled and fraudulently obtained amount. Exactly 80,000. 80,000. I leaned back. Each breath a dull ache. That's especially huge under Article 271 starting sentence of 5 years. Right. Plus. Cindy pushed up her glasses. He submitted the shop transfer deed to the property bureau. Because you weren't present and it wasn't notarized. The system flagged it. He's got attempted fraud on top of embezzlement multiple counts. He'll be sewing prison uniforms for the best years of his life. I glanced at my son, sleeping peacefully in his bassinet. My mother-in-law had gone to get me Kanjish, always tiptoed so as not to disturb me. The contrast was staggering. My own parents were squeezing me for every cent to fund their son's wedding. And this bloodless old woman was holding my broken family toget. Her. How's Zhou Yan? I asked. Out of danger. Extubated this morning. Conscious. But weak. Cindy patted my hand. He'll be fine. Now focus on today's feast. Today was Liu Qiang and his fiancée Zhang Qian's wedding at the Wanhao Hotel. Liu Qiang had thrown every ounce of vanity into this event. She'd invited all the Liu relatives and spread word through the local aesthetics industry that Liu Qiang will represent Liu Ying in all future business operations. They plan to use this wedding to solidify the theft publicly. 11 a.m. The banquet hall on the third floor of Wanhao Hotel was decked with the imported white roses Zhang Qian demanded. Liu Doc Ying, stuffed into an ill-fitting suit, was greeting guests with packs of China cigarettes. Liu Qiang wore a vulgar gold chain, bragging to everyone about her son's bright future running 2 major clinics. They thought they'd crossed into high society, that I was nothing but a stepping stone. Cindy handed me a tablet showing a live feed from the banquet hall. I'd had my operations manager set up hidden cameras under guise of sending wedding gifts. Liu Deshang and Liu Qiang are gloating up a storm. Cindy sneered. Zhang Qian's shell company partners are here too, waiting for Liu Qiang to announce a strategic alliance so they can cash out. Let them laugh. I stared at Liu Qiang's smug face. His moment of glory will last 30 more minutes. Xini Economic Crimes Unit and local police notified. 2 teams arrived 5 minutes ago. With me and 2 criminal defense lawyers leading them. They're in the parking garage. Go. I closed my eyes. Tell them to do it by the book. Public summons. No family face exceptions. 12:08 p.m. The wedding march blared through the hall. Liu Qiang and Zhang Qian walked down the aisle to applause and confetti. On stage, he took the mic. Thank you, family and friends, especially our industry colleagues. Today, I not only marry my beloved, but I also take over management of my sister Liu Ying's Yingmei medical aesthetics chain. We'll be injecting major capital. The doors burst open. 4 uniformed police officers walked in, accompanied by Shinsini. Striding down the red carpet with stern faces, the hall went dead silent. Liu Qiang froze. The mic screeching. The lead officer stepped onto the stage, pulled out a legal document with a bright red stamp, and aimed it at Liu Qiang. You are Liu Qiang. We're from the Economic Crimes Unit and the High-Tech District Branch. You're under criminal detention on charges of embezzlement, forgery of company seals, and coercive transaction under Article 80 of the Criminal Procedure Law. Come with us. The white detention notice glittered garishly under the stage lights. Liu Deshang and Liu Qiang went pale. Their wine glasses shattered on the floor. The spotlight made the detention notices red as tea. Amp blaze. Liu Qiang's mic crashed to the floor with a feedback screech. The hall was so quiet you could hear the rustle of the bride's sequin dress. Officers, you've got the wrong person. Liu Qiang was the first to react, shoving her way onto the stage like a mad bird. Today's my son's wedding. My daughter is Liu Ying, the boss of Yingmei. How is taking money from his own sister's company a crime? Did someone pay you off? The lead officer's face darkened, blocking her advance. Please watch your language. We're acting on a formal complaint filed by Liu Ying, legal representative and majority shareholder of Yingmei and co-founder Zhou Yan. Based on bank records, suspect Liu Qiang has embezzled 80,000 yuan from company funds, forged official seals, and engaged in coercive transactions. Do not obstruct justice, or we'll charge you with interference in official duties. Filed by Liu Ying. Liu Deshang swayed on his feet, his face drained of color. On stage, Zhang Qian stared at Liu Qiang in disbelief, then collapsed onto the scattered roses, and the industry peers and relatives who'd come to curry favor with the new Mr. Liu began whispering, backing away, some already leaving. Big sis, you're setting me up. Liu Qiang finally snapped to his senses as cold handcuffs clicked onto his wrists. Mom, Dad, call Liu Ying. She's my sister. Make her drop the charges. Make her drop them. Move out, the officer ordered. 2 officers flanked him, dragging the limp Liu Qiang off the stage. As they passed, Cindy leaned in. Liu Qiang, by the way, that waiver you forced on her, legally void due to duress. An embezzlement is a public prosecution once filed. It can't be withdrawn. Enjoy your honeymoon in prison. Cindy, you bitch. You turned my daughter against me. Liu Qiang and Liu Deshang chased the squad car out to the entrance, but could only watch the flashing lights disappear. 30 minutes later, they were at my hospital room door. The arrogance was gone. The door swung open, and Liu Qiang collapsed at the foot of my bed, wailing, Liu Ying, my own flesh and blood. Are you trying to destroy your brother? He's your only brother. How could you be so cruel? Liu Deshang stood behind her, head bowed, voice pleading, Xiao Ying. Qiang was foolish. We'll return the money, we don't want the shop. Just tell the police it was a misunderstanding. If he's convicted, his whole life is over. He'll never be able to get a government job. His children won't be able to either. I watched them calmly. My ribs still ached. My mother-in-law sat by the bassinet, body shielding the baby, eyes fixed on the intruders. Misunderstanding. I turned to Liu Qiang. When I was lying in the wreckage and you told me to die quietly, was that a misunderstanding? When Liu Deshang threatened my 17-day-old son to force me to sign, was that a misunderstanding? We were just upset. Joking. Liu Qiang crawled forward, trying to grab my pants. But Zhou Yan's mother blocked her with her foot. Don't touch my daughter-in-law, the old woman said. Quiet but steely. Your family's hearts are rotten. You came to rob a crippled woman. Now you're scared. Too late. I looked at Liu Deshang, my voice eerily calm. Liu Deshang. Liu Qiang. My 2 clinics plus my properties are worth over 30 million. I was going to give Liu Qiang a stable supply chain contract after his wedding, a comfortable 50,000 a year. The pension I set up for you was enough to keep you until you died. Liu Deshang's head shot up. A flash of gut-wrenching regret in his eyes. You're the ones who destroyed that future. I smiled coldly. 80,000. Liu Qiang embezzled 80,000. That money and Zhang Qian's shell accounts are frozen as criminal proceeds. Zhang Qian is being summoned as an accomplice. Liu Qiang won't just lose his weddings looking at 5 years minimum. No. You can write a letter of forgiveness. Liu Qiang shrieked. Forgiveness. I closed my eyes. Embezzlement is a public prosecution. Even if I wrote a letter, it would only be a minor mitigating factor. And Liu Ying, will never write one. I want him to rot. You ungrateful wretch. Liu Deshang's veins bulged. You're cutting off the Liu family line. I should have drowned you at birth. But you didn't. My eyes snapped open. Icy cold. And he stepped back involuntarily. Cindy, come in. I called. She entered with a second file. Smiling at the collapsed old couple. Mr. and Mrs. Liu, due to your verbal intimidation and your role in the forged property transfer, I've filed for pre-suit asset freeze on your behalf. The house Liu Ying bought and put in Liu Deshang's name. Court sealed. 2 copies of the seizure notice smacked Liu Deshang in the face. Outside. The sky broke open. Golden sunlight flooded the room. But the 2 people on the floor looked like they'd fallen into eternal darkness. Liu Deshang stared at the seizure notices like he'd been struck by lightning. His expensive suit trembled with his shaking. Seizure. On what grounds? The house is in my name. It's my son's wedding house. The name doesn't make it yours. Cindy didn't even look at him. She pulled out a thick binder of bank statements and proof of payment and slammed it on the table. Under the Civil Code's provisions on undue enrichment and nominal property holding, every cent of that Tumul property from down payment to 24 months of mortgage was paid by Liu Ying's wholly owned business and personal accounts. You 2 have no income. You are non-contributing parties. Her voice echoed through the quiet room. We're suing for ownership recognition and recovery of undue enrichment. The court has approved the asset freeze pending trial. Not only can't you enter that house, all bank cards, WeChat, and Alipay accounts under Liu Deshang's name are now frozen. Frozen. All frozen. Liu Qiang's face turned ashen. She fumbled for her phone, opened her banking app, and saw the cold error. Your account has been judicially frozen. Service temporarily unavailable. Liu Ying, you ingrate. You'll drive your parents to the streets. Liu Qiang wailed. Pounding the floor. We raised you, fed you, clothed you, and now you and your lawyers steal our home. Everyone. Look. A tycoon crushing her own parents. The commotion drew nurses and other patients to the door. But I just watched. Unmoved. Once. I might have cared about face. But not after that rainy night. Not after they used my son's life as a bargaining chip. Save your breath. Mom. I adjusted myself on the pillow. Almost comfortable. 10 minutes ago. My ops team posted the video from the wedding and the audio from the ER conversation on our local social media. Ying Mei has 300,000 followers in this city. Now everyone knows the story. The groom arrested at his own wedding for embezzling 80,000. Parents who, when their daughter and son-in-law were in the ICU and newborn grandson in an incubator, showed up not to help but to forge documents and steal property. Do you think people will pity you or despise you? Social annihilation. That was my second gift to them. Ring. Liu Deshang's phone buzzed. He answered desperately, and his eldest sister, my aunt, shrieked. Deshang. What's that video online? Qiang got arrested. What kind of monsters are you? Our Xiaoli is being mocked at school. Your cousin's a criminal. Your aunt and uncle are vampires. Don't come near us again. Yuri in embarrassment. Click. Then another call. Then another. Mahjong buddies. Distant relatives all calling to cut ties. Mock. Or ask what the hell happened. His phone slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. The face of the Liu family, his greatest pride, lay shredded in the mud. Liu Ying. You're so heartless. Liu Qiang's voice was sandpaper scraping stone. We're your parents. Qiang is your brother. You've destroyed us. Don't you fear karma? Karma. My mother-in-law rose from her chair. She just laid the baby back down. Her weathered face was stern. If karma's real, then you too should be lying here broken. Not her. My son's still unconscious in the ICU. My daughter-in-law's in pain. And you never asked if she hurts. Only money. 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 The heavens brought the police on your heads. That's karma. Her words hit Liu Qiang like a wall, leaving him speechless. Cinny. See them out. I closed my eyes. If they refuse or cause a disturbance, call the on-site police for administrative detention. Gladly. Cinny gestured. Leaving on your own. Or do we get security? Just saying administrative detention goes on your record. And with the house sealed, you won't get another chance to collect your personal belongings. Liu Qiang stared at my cold profile, finally understanding. The Liu Ying who'd been their doormat, who'd always cleaned up Liu Qiang's messes, had died in that car crash. What remained was a vengeful goddess, born for reckoning. They helped each other up and shuffled out, heads down, past the pointed fingers and whispers. The door clicked shut. Xiao Ying. Have some porridge still warm. My mother-in-law brought a bowl. Her eyes soft. Don't let them get to you. We've got a long life ahead. I took a sip. The warmth spread through me, chasing away the cold. But this was just the beginning. Liu Qiang's trial would be next month. The property foreclosure was in motion. I would watch them step by step, into the abyss. 1 month later. Third trial court. Municipal Intermediate People's Court. My fractures hadn't fully healed, so I was in a wheelchair, pushed by Cinny. Zhou Yan had been transferred to a general ward, still bedridden but clear-headed. His message: no settlement. Prosecute to the end. Liu Qiang sat in the defendant's box, unrecognizable from the wedding day. Orange detention vest, shaved head, gaunt and hollow-eyed. When he saw me, a desperate survival instinct flared. Sis, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Tell the judge it was a joke. I can't do prison, it's too hard. Save me, sis. In the gallery, Liu Qiang and Liu Qiang wept. Their expensive clothes and gold chains were gone. They looked a decade older. I sat calmly at the plaintiff's table, hands folded on the blanket over my knees, watching like a stranger. Defendant, calm down. The judge banged his gavel. The trial proceeded smoothly. Cinny's evidence was airtight. Fake contracts, bank transfers, shell accounts, and the recording of Liu Qiang's threats in the hospital room. In summary, Cinny rose, voice clear and firm. Defendant Liu Qiang, abusing his position, illegally took company property amounting to 800,000 yuan, a huge amount, under criminal law Article 271, and showed no remorse, even attempting coercion and threats against the victim. We request a maximum sentence. The prosecutor agreed. The defense lawyer, looking at the absurd case file and the sobbing parents, could only offer a plea for leniency. Liu Qiang, do you have anything to say for yourself? The judge asked. Liu Qiang fell to his knees, shackles clanking. Sis, mom and dad only have me. If I go in, we'll take care of them. You're a mother too. Hold your child and think, how can you be so cruel? He mentioned my son. My hands tightened on the blanket. I turned to face him, all that greed, fear, and scheming, and spoke, quiet enough for the whole courtroom to hear. Liu Qiang, when you grabbed my bloody hand and forced that thumbprint, when you threatened my 17-day-old son to make me sign, did you ever think you were an uncle? My money, I earned it with sleepless nights, with my life. It wasn't meant to feed a parasite, nor to fund the destruction of my family. I accept no apology. I turned to the judge, clear and final. I refuse to issue a letter of forgiveness. The light in Liu Qiang's eyes died. He crumpled, dragged up by the bailiffs. 30 minutes later. The verdict. The court finds defendant Liu Qiang guilty of embezzlement and forgery of company seals. Sentenced to 5 years and 6 months imprisonment. Fined 100,000 yuan. The 800,000 yuan in embezzled funds shall be recovered and returned to the victim. 5.5 years. Enough to bury Liu Qiang's most arrogant, most vain youth behind cold iron bars. His fiancée Zhang Qian. For aiding in the transfer of stolen funds. Got 1 year suspended for 2. Their grand wedding became the city's biggest judicial joke. Walking out of the courtroom. The sun was blinding. Liu Qiang and Liu Qiang blocked my wheelchair. No more tantrums, just despair and numbness. Liu Ying. Liu Qiang's voice was shot. Qiang sentenced. The house is seized. We have nowhere to sleep tonight. Could you rent us a basement? 1,000 a month for food. We did give you life. I looked at my biological parents. They'd schemed all their lives for their son. And ended up with him in prison. Their house repossessed. Their relatives disowning them. Economic annihilation. Social death. Living expenses. I laughed bitterly. Pulling a prepared document from my bag. Under the civil code, children do have a duty to support parents. But the standard is based on their inability to work and lack of means and the child's ability to pay. I pointed to the clause. Over the past 3 years, you've borrowed, consumed on credit, and extorted over 1 million from men unrepaid. I've filed a debt offset lawsuit. For the next 20 years, my statutory minimum support payments will be deducted from the debt you owe me. Not a single cent. For the rest of their lives. Liu Ying, you monster. You'll die a horrible death. Liu Qiang lunged, but was held back by bailiffs. Mind your behavior. The bailiff warned. Liu Qiang. Liu Qiang's eviction order is in effect. At 2 p.m. today, the property will be sealed. Return immediately to collect your belongings. Or they'll be considered abandoned. Liu Qiang collapsed on the courthouse steps, tearing at his hair. I didn't look back. Cindy wheeled me through the crowd. To the minivan. The windows rolled up, shutting out the trembling, wailing figures. Half an hour later. I was back at the hospital. Sunlight flooded the private room. Zhou Yan sat propped against the headboard, color returning to his face. Looking at our son beside him. And my mother-in-law, the village woman who'd arrived muddy and desperate in the darkest night to hold my child, sat on a low stool, sewing a small doll with her rough hands. When she saw me, she set it down and smiled, warm as sunshine. Xiao Ying's back. Was the trial over? Are you hungry? I made pigeon soup, simmered 3 hours, drink it while it's hot. I looked at this scene of quiet, ordinary life, and my eyes stung for the first time. Blood ties can be the coldest, most absurd bonds, and true family often blooms in the simplest acts of kindness and protection. The vampires had fallen into the abyss they'd dug for themselves. And our family, after washing away the filth and betrayal, had finally found its true dawn.